Be a high-value woman. Cook, clean, do the dishes, make 7 figures, take care of the kids. Actually, working moms are selfish. Be a stay-at-home mom. But stay-at-home moms are lazy, right? Women who don't want to work are gold diggers, but women who do are not tapping into their feminine energy enough. These are the messages that we're hearing every single day, whether it be from the media, from our families, from our friends, and it puts unrealistic and confusing standards onto women as a whole, and it sets us back in the workplace. I remember when I was 6 months pregnant, sitting at my open house at my little $365,000 listing, looking out the window thinking, how the hell am I gonna do this? I was so nauseous, throwing up multiple times a day, nauseous even at the smell of water, and I thought, how am I gonna balance a career and a new child on the way, fast approaching? What was I gonna do? Was I even ready for all of this? I thought back to the women in my life who have inspired me. I feel super fortunate that I have people in my life that are amazing examples of women in business. No one had shown up at my open house that day, so I threw my AirPods in and popped in a podcast. I thought, let me learn a little bit about the wage gap and how it will actually affect my business. I learned that even if we change pay between men and women within companies, as a whole, women are held back so significantly by having children that it will not even move the needle as much as we need it to. So let's dive into how we can actually strengthen our abilities as women and hone in on them and show how we can actually be amazing businesswomen, amazing doctors, incredible CEOs and engineers, because we actually have unique capabilities as women that help us in the career space. We just have to know about them, learn about them, identify them, and then lead with them in our day-to-day lives. I was so nervous that I would be losing everything that I worked so hard to achieve in the process of building a family. I used to look up to images of Samantha from Sex and the City or Taraji P. Henson from Girls Trip in their sky-high, amazing offices with floor-to-ceiling windows, dressed the part, looking incredible, and just being super powerful. And that was exactly what I visualized for my life and what I wanted in my life. But still, with having a child, how was I gonna even get there? 103 years ago, we as women gained the right to vote. And the reason for that is primarily due to Carrie Chapman Catt. She worked for the women's suffrage movement in the 1900s and actually worked for 20 years as the president to give us the right to vote, to get that amendment passed within the Constitution that has given us the right to vote. Let's look at the statistics from that time compared to now as far as the wage gap is concerned. For women as a whole, we've grown from 55% to 84% as far as the wage gap. So it's only 16% difference between men and women as a whole. However, if you zoom in, you'll see that Hispanic women are still at 65%. That's only 10% increase since 103 years ago. For Black women, it's 70%. That's not as much progress as you would assume based on how much we've worked towards this effort and how much Carrie Chapman Catt has worked to help us and put so much energy and so much passion into giving us rights to make it equal between men and women. But that's the thing too. This is not a men against women issue. This is a human issue, and we need to work as a united front to help women progress in the workplace. Dual income households are the norm. So why are we acting like women can just do the child work and have a job and do this and do that and have 15 different hats on but make less? It doesn't make sense, and the fact that millions of people lost their jobs over the last 3 years and have had to work from home while taking care of their kids because they don't have nannies, they haven't had daycare that can help them. We have to structure things differently to make it so that women can shine in the business world. We can't go back to where we were in the 1900s. We need to progress. So let's talk about how we're gonna do that. As I said, I'm fortunate enough to have seen a lot of successful women in my upbringing. My mom bought her first home when she was 23. She was a mortgage broker and worked her way up to President's Club within her company. She worked really, really hard and faced far worse discrimination as far as her gender is concerned than I ever have. People always questioned, why she was working there, why she was making so much money. Was she sleeping with the boss? Was it because she was pretty? Conversely, she actually met my dad while taking his loan application. He had moved here from Uruguay in South America when he was 13, joined the Air Force, and was driving a truck when they met. She actually brought him with her to their President's Club trip in Hawaii, and he got to see firsthand how profitable he could be if he did the same thing. She taught him the business and he flourished. I was able to see firsthand how a woman can take matters into their own hands and create a career for themselves and be self-sufficient. And it doesn't have to be poor me, it's a struggle. My mom always went into it with gratitude, that she had the ability to work, that she felt grateful that she could do something she was passionate about and work every day towards something that was going to create stability for herself. Only recently has my mom shared some of the negative aspects of working in that industry, but only because I've asked. She didn't complain about it, she just did it. Actually, my mom constantly reiterated to me that having a career is actually a blessing. It's a positive outlet for us to express our creativity, our power, and get that anxious energy out. I've also sought inspiration in my grandma and aunt. They opened an upholstery shop in Hollywood, Florida, and I grew up going to their upholstery shop when I was younger. I had no idea what they were facing that entire time. When we look at the wage gap, when we look at the fact that Hispanic women make 65 cents on the dollar compared to a white non-Hispanic man, them starting their own business and capitalizing and even getting a contract with City Furniture is unbelievable and incredible. But it's something that women have been doing for centuries, and we're not actively recognizing that as a society. We need to understand why women are so successful in business. Why, compared to businesses as a whole, women are able to bring up profits by 25% compared to 11% with male-run companies. My dad's girlfriend actually owns her own medical device sales warehouse, and she gave me the opportunity when I was in college to intern for her and see everything firsthand. I wanted to do medical device sales, so it fit perfectly. I was able to see that in person in a casual setting, she was super bubbly, quirky, goofy, but in a work setting, she's laser focused, super on, making calls with government contractors all day long. I was entranced and so impressed because it shows, again, you can still be uniquely yourself. You can still be uniquely feminine. My grandma, having an upholstery business, she still does her makeup every day. She still shows up looking the way she wants to and looking like a feminine, beautiful woman. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm lucky to see all of this firsthand. Work in my house was meant to be fun, and I built my business on making it sustainable through having fun while I'm doing it. When I'm on my way to a showing, I'm listening to Cardi B, I'm getting pumped up. Anything that I'm doing, when I'm training my agents, we're making it a good time, because in my mind, I'm gonna be working maybe for the rest of my life, and that's okay with me, because I know that the values that I bring to the table make it enjoyable. But is it hard work? Absolutely. I've sacrificed a lot of other fun things in my life, like drinking, going out, partying, all of those things. Giving into drama when it's a waste of my time, looking at other people's drama and on TV and having it infiltrate my life when they don't even know who I am. Those things used to be fun for me, but I did a 180. I shifted like I had when I needed to bring my GPA up from a 1.8 to a 3.8. I went from sitting on the lawn chair, never going to class, not taking it seriously, to sitting in the front of every single class and getting that GPA up. I almost dropped out, and when I was in that moment of thinking, should I stay in school or should I leave, I thought, my mom worked so hard for me to have this opportunity that people would kill for. My mom had set up a Florida prepaid account for me and purposely made it so that I would have that opportunity in my life. The fact that through business calls that I saw every day, with her on her phone and multitasking, it never bothered me. It showed me that she cared so much about us that she would spend that time with us and also worked on her career to provide for us. Now, I want you to think about that, because a lot of us struggle with guilt day to day as moms in the workplace. I know I do, especially when I'm on my phone and there's a client calling and the baby's screaming in the background, or I'm breastfeeding. Then I think back to my mom and think, I would never think ill of her for that. This is the reality as women. We don't always have a choice. And to think that women can just flip-flop from the hustle culture to the soft life to this on a dime because a social media TikToker or Instagrammer told you to is ignorant in my opinion, because it's a luxury that not a lot of people have. This is real life. So navigating the workplace for women, if we don't take it seriously, no one's gonna do that for us. We can go like Carrie Chapman Catt did and try to enact change through proposing bills to Congress, but I don't have 20 years to wait, and I think a lot of us don't. So let's identify what actually makes us powerful people in the workplace, powerful human beings. Mothers are superhuman, and yet we still find any way to point out the things that hold us back, to magnify them, to focus on them. Women can succeed in the current workplace if we're aware of our values and the benefits of being female. We can also create a major shift by becoming familiar with why taking care of ourselves is vital for our progression. Close your eyes. Visualize success. What does it mean to you? Is it a thing? Is it a place? Is it laughing with your friend? What is it? What do you see as success? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to share it with anybody. So make sure it's unique to you, not what your family wants, not what your partner wants. What do you want that maybe you shushed when you were younger or felt selfish or silly for wanting that thing? What is it that you want? You see, women actually have the power to think with both sides of their brains simultaneously, while men tend to think with one hemisphere of their brains at a time. We're amazing at accomplishing a multitude of different things. We can be amazing moms, we can be amazing CEOs, we can do TED Talks, and we can even apply for the Sports Illustrated competition if we want to. The world is actually our oyster. The term girl boss is often thrown around these days, and I'm often pinned as one of them. I always thought it was just a silly term until I did a deeper dive and found out that a girl boss actually follows incrementalism. Essentially, a girl boss will work their way through a man's world to get to the top. The problem with that is that it doesn't help other women along the way. It doesn't help the women in different positions that are not the main person of power. It's moving through a man's world instead of shaking it from the top and enacting that change. Look at Elizabeth Holmes. She made her voice lower. She did things to try to be more like a man, to connect with men, and to work her way up in a male-dominated industry in tech. No one can doubt her persistence. No one can doubt that she pushed her way to the top with a lot of tenacity and sure hard work. But the one thing she never did was take a step back and say, is this helping the greater good? Is this ethical? Is this helping other women succeed as well? No, she didn't. And that's not a female flaw, that's a human flaw. She's not a good example of what it means to be a woman in business who's credible, but there are plenty of women who are. Take Reese Witherspoon, for example. She didn't even star in Legally Blonde until after she had children, and now she's a mega producer. Look at Gayle King. She didn't get successful in her career until after having her kids in her 30s. She even said, I'm gonna make it so that I have my career and my family. I love both, and both are important to me. The power of just identifying that in itself can take you places that you don't even realize. It's just saying it, or somebody saying it to you, saying, you know what? You can do this, and you can manage kids and work and life, because it's normal, because people have been doing it for centuries without posting it on social media, without showboating their success. They just do it. And women do it every single day as nurses, firefighters, anything. So this narrative that we're not able to do that in the workplace is kind of discrediting all of the women who have done it before us. Like our moms who navigated the workplace with far less resources than we have. You see, I post images to inspire people, but I want to bring them with me. I employ 18 women at my company out of 20 people, and I see firsthand every day how powerful women are and valuable they are in the workplace. In negotiations, they're not too emotional, they're not weak, they're not too loud, they're not too opinionated. The women at my brokerage who are moms, we actually all double and triple our businesses with each child. I don't know how that happens, but it's true. Factually, statistically, on paper. How is that possible? Research shows that women have the unique ability to think with both sides of their brain simultaneously. While men tend to think with one hemisphere of their brain at a time, women can infuse empathy into their logic, making them capable of generating intuitive, holistic, and creative thought patterns alongside linear and logical ones. Despite stereotypes that women are too emotional to handle positions of power, research suggests otherwise. Human connections, which are crucial for successful deals and projects, require emotions. Yet women are always criticized for being too emotional. A Korn Ferry study shows that female CEOs were more likely to engage in the power of teams than their male counterparts. They scored significantly higher than the benchmark group on humility, indicative of a consistent lack of self-promotion, an expressed appreciation for others, and a tendency to share the credit, and were more likely to leverage others to achieve desired results. Now listen to that for a second. Women are more likely to give other people credit where it's due and to help them along the way and boost up their success while they are succeeding themselves. This will, as a whole, help the women's movement if we put more women in power and give them more trust than we're giving them by calling them too emotional, by assuming that they can't handle it because they have kids. We're actually setting ourselves back with company progression by not giving women more chances in positions of power. The other day, someone complained to me that maybe it was not professional for one of my team members to have a crying baby in the background. And maybe I should talk to that team member and ask them to not have that happen again. And to that I said, I would be a hypocrite if I did that. 70% of my calls nowadays have my son yelling in the background, tractor show, or my daughter crying and farting. Okay, it is time for society to recognize and embrace the unique strengths of women, including their empathy, emotional intelligence, multidimensionality, and collaborative skills, which can help them succeed as leaders. The evidence is clear, as a 2017 study by Finnish bank Nordea said companies with a female CEO or head of the board of directors had a 25% annualized return over 8 years compared to 11% for the broader worldwide index of firms. People do deals with people. People do huge commercial buildings and constructed by humans that formed a connection. What does a connection require? Emotions. What surprises me when I do have my kids yelling and screaming while I'm on the phone with a developer is that they often take the time to connect and relate with me. Why? Because they're human and they usually have kids themselves. Within a few minutes, my client and I can bond over diaper changes and 3 a.m. parent duties. At that moment, the common denominator that client and I share is that we're both human beings. We shared that we endured things as a parent and as a working individual together. Through that shared human experience, I emphasize on the importance of trying to understand each other. Give each other a break. There is no shortage of motivational content that will give you a specific framework for success. But the reality is that all of our realities are completely different. The schedule that works for me might not make any sense for you in your trajectory. When I hear an entrepreneur advise that we have to wake up at 4 a.m. to be successful, I think, I don't think that I could function on that amount of sleep and actually run a business and actually be a good mom. I'll wake up at 6:30 instead. Do I understand the sentiment that waking up early literally gives you more time? Yes, but it doesn't mean that it's something that I'm going to adopt or that's smart for me to adopt. You see, entrepreneurship has actually risen by 29% in the last 3 years, largely due to what we've just experienced. But there hasn't been a shift in the expectations, our ideas of what leadership is and how it behaves. More mental health awareness across organizations will actually accelerate this shift, and that includes employees, boards, and business owners. When we don't focus on our own self-care, we become resentful of our employees for the time that they have off to spend with their families, and for themselves to really turn off. The key issue preventing CEOs from seeking help is the fact that mental health is still very heavily stigmatized. There's great pressure on CEOs to appear superhuman. Admitting any kind of vulnerability is perceived by many at the top as a weakness. So how do we create mentally healthy CEOs who can actually create healthy workplaces for not only women, but individuals as a whole? We need to set boundaries to protect our peace. If you go on your phone and look at the top right corner and pull down, that's a do not disturb button. Use it. The timer on your phone, use that to block off time to enhance your focus on your to-do list. The voice to text feature, that helped me write this speech while I was breastfeeding. Use tools at your disposal to create structure and set boundaries. This enhances focus and quality time over being in a constant state of feeling like you have 17 hats on at once. You're going to need to set boundaries with your relationships as well. Communication of your boundaries from the jump can help those around you understand your schedule and standards, not the other way around. I used to drop everything when I got a phone call. I would meet them 3 hours away if I had to. I was constantly available. I told people, call me anytime. I'm always available. So they did. They called me at 11 o'clock at night for months on end. Anytime I was at lunch with my husband, I might have to drop what I was doing and go run and show them a property. I was on their schedule. What I thought I needed to do was actually what I was conditioned to believe I needed to do to be successful. Always be available or you will never have clients again and you'll lose all of your money by tomorrow and have to start from square one. That was my mindset. I know now that that mindset, just like the mindset I had at that open house 3 years ago, was a lack mindset. It left zero room for self-confidence. How could I have self-confidence and worth in myself when I was constantly living for other people? The first step in setting boundaries is identifying them. What was my goal? My goal was more time with my kids. That's why I opened this brokerage in the first place. As I was working toward that goal, I could see in front of my very eyes that my son was growing every single day and at a rapid rate. My kids have become my why, and I've been able to go from working essentially 24/7 to 40 to 50 focused hours per week so that my time off is just as focused with my kids. And I can practice that same focus when I'm on the clock with my career. What happened to my production? Still doubling every year. That ticking time clock is a powerful motivator. Use it. Now think back to what you visualized. What did you visualize for yourself? Be an individual and lead with that unique visualization that you have crafted. Write down the 5 qualities that you currently bring to the table as a unique individual and lead with them. Embody them. Make everyone believe that you bring that to the table because you do. Be your own cheerleader. Be your own rock. Understand what you bring to the table as a party of one. Thank you for watching my TED Talk.